Hi, I'm Jenny. This is going to be a short series about developing comfort in your space, whether that's in your body, in your environment, in your breath, and in your daily activities. There'll be short meditative practices, movement practices, and breath practices that'll go along with this series. I hope this brings you benefit in some way, shape, or form. And I look forward to moving you and guiding you through these practices. The way this series is structured is each week we'll work through a meditation or movement or breath practice, combining some of those practices or focusing on just one. We'll perform the practice together or independently. You can just listen to my guidance. And then we'll take time to reflect, whether it be through Shavasana or a stillness practice, just to observe the feedback and the echo of what our exercise provided. I love feedback. I love hearing back from you, and any tools and techniques that you have found to bring comfort to yourself, your environment, are welcomed here. So please engage as we move through this practice together, finding more comfort in our space and more ease in our being. I'll see you on your mat. So breath meditation, observing the breath. Taking a few moments to observe the breath. And notice what happens when you bring attention to the breath. Do you automatically try to control the breath, or can you just observe your natural rhythms? So taking your seat, lying down on your back, laying on your belly. Make your way into a shape that you feel comfortable in. If it feels nice to soften your gaze or close your eyes, please do so. And then begin to observe your own rhythm, the rhythm of your breath as it ebbs and flows. Now for me, I like to close my eyes to remove that external distraction. And to focus more of my attention onto the breath. Notice where it's grabbing on, where it might be getting stuck. If it's flowing at ease or the pace is quickening. And your attention will wander. Gently bring it back and observe the ebb and the flow of the breath. The parts of the body that are rising, the parts that are falling. The breath is a good indicator of our state of well-being, what emotional state or physical state we might be fixated on. Just bringing attention to what is. About 10 more cycles. If the eyes are closed or the gaze are low, begin to look up and out. Taking a moment to reflect on if you brought your attention and consciousness to the breath, did that bring about automatic controlling of the breath? Were you inclined to manipulate it anyway? So these are just reflective questions, no right or wrong answer to them. They just bring a bit more awareness to our current state of being. And from that knowledge of where we're at, we're able to adjust and maneuver our way into a more comfortable state of mind. Feel free to practice this on your own, just taking a moment, a minute or two to observe the breath and observe what happens when you bring consciousness and attention to the breath. I'll see you in your next practice. Hi, welcome to your next practice. This is going to be a breath-centered practice. So make your way into your comfortable shape. I'm going to be lying down on my back, but feel free to stay seated or kneeling, tabletop or all fours. The choice is yours. So once you made your way into your shape, drop into the breath. And dropping into the breath, we just begin to observe the breath. Extending out through the exhales. Allowing the inhale to occur naturally. This is the breath-centered practice. Extending out through the exhales. Allowing the inhales to occur naturally. When we bring the focus to an extended exhale, it has a natural soothing and comforting effect on the body, mind, and the nervous system. Continue by extending out through the exhales a little longer each time. And observing what part of the lungs begin to fill on the inhale. And what movements or blockages you can expel out on the extended exhale. About 10 cycles. This way of breathing brings a natural toning effect to our vagus nerve. So we can bring about more calm to our nervous system. Settling into that parasympathetic state of rest and relaxation, of ease, comfort, and nurturing. You're welcome to continue on with this practice as long as your moments allow. This is also a practice you can do through various points during your day. Anytime you remember that there's comfort and soothing with the breath. Extending out through the exhales, allowing the inhales to occur naturally. I'll leave you here in your breathing space. With light love, gratitude, and grace, namaste. Welcome to the next practice. We'll be making our way through some movement. So go ahead and join me in downward facing dog. Come to an inverted V position where the head rests below the heart, the hips are lifted. And drop into your breath. Soften the heels down to the earth. Send a gentle gaze in between the ankles. Comfort in the breath. Bring the heels to touch. Walk the hands back Bring the hips down towards the heels. And then reach the fingertips forward as you find a deep rounding through the spine. Draw the knees out a little wider. What happens through the inner groin, through the outer hips? Comfort in the breath, extending out through the exhale, and allowing the inhale to happen naturally. You'll lower the heels down to the earth, lift the hips up, then bend the knees, lower the hips, lift the heels. We'll do that with the breath. Lower heels, lift the hips. Come back, lower the heels, lift the hips. Bring the heels out, toes pointing forward. Forward fold, ragdoll, interlace the hands at the cricks of the elbows. And fold deeply the folds of the hips. Dropping into the comfort of the breath. Extending out through the exhales. Allowing the inhales to happen naturally. Release the hands down, halfway lift the spine. Shoulders come about in line with the hips. You can bring a gentle bend into the knee. Rock the weight forward and back onto the balls of the feet, to the inner edges and outer edges, just to get a feel for the lower body. Forward fold. A long, slow breath in as you round the back up. Mountain pose, reach the arms up. Bring the hands down by the side. Take them to interlace at the low back. Reach your breastbone up towards the ceiling for a gentle back bend. Exhale, chest falls down towards the thighs, forward fold. Bend through the right knee, send the palms over to the right as you gaze to the left. Switch it out. Send the arms over to the left as you gaze to the right. Stretch out the rib cage with a full breath in and an extended breath out. Release the hands down, walk the hands forward to a high plank. Holding your high plank, lower the knees so they hover right above the earth and press yourself right back up to a high plank. 2 more. Lower the knees down, lift up to a high plank. 1 more. Lower the knees, stabilize through the shoulders, high plank to downward facing dog. The heels will come towards one another. The hands will walk back. Knees drop wide. Frog at the back of your space. Forward fold. Bring the feet parallel. Fold yourself forward. Halfway lift the spine. Forward fold. Rise up. Swan dive. Reverse. Hands come up to touch right above the crown of the head, then the energy draws right into your heart space. Take a breath in and a breath out. Visualize that breath as a comforting blanket as it lays across the body. Warming you both inwardly and outwardly. Rise up to mountain. Interlace the hands at the low back. Stretch the arms down to the earth. Lengthen the tailbone in between the arches of the feet. Forward fold. With a chest expansion, deep bend through the knees. Bend through the right, gaze to the left. Bend through the left, gaze to the right. Come back to center, release the hands, walk the hands forward to a high plank. Hold your high plank. Lower the knees down to the earth. Cat-cow, lifting the chest up, drawing the hips up, allowing the belly to fall and drop down to the earth. You're almost creating a hammock through the spine. And bring the shoulders nice and wide by energetically drawing the shoulder blades wide. Same idea with the hips. As you draw the hip bones nice and wide, you're spreading some space across the back, the low back and the sacrum area. Take a breath in and a breath out. Then round, press the earth away as you hollow out through the belly, dropping front of the ribs towards the body and then back up to the spine. Now with your cycles of breath, comfort as you wake up through your spine. Comfort in the breath. Stay connected to it. And that connection will lead you smoothly through the movements. Downward facing dog, legs straighten, inverted V. Bring the legs towards one another. Send the right leg up. Reach the right leg behind you, stretch it behind you. Then step it wide of the right hand. Lower the left knee down to the earth. And either stay up on your hands or lower down to the forearms. Migrating the weight forward and back, side to side. And dropping the breath towards the sensations that you've created. Come back onto the palms of the hands. Send a gentle gaze over your right shoulder. As you do so, lift the left leg up. Draw the lower ribs towards the hips and the upper ribs to the back of the body. You'll step the right leg back behind you, coming to a high plank, then a downward facing dog. The left leg will reach back, stretch it back. Step it wide of the left hand. Rock forward and back, side to side. Lower the right knee down to the earth. If you'd like, come down onto the forearms as well. And then again, migrate that weight, dispersing those sensations. And find comfort in the breath. Staying connected to the breath. The self-soothing mechanism that we're all equipped with. Come back up onto the hands. As you gaze over the left shoulder, lift the right knee off of the mat. A deep breath in and out. Send the left leg back to a high plank, then downward facing dog. Slowly rock the feet up to meet your hands. Reverse swan dive. Mountain pose. Hands lower down, single leg Tadasana. The left leg will lift. Step the left leg back to a wide-legged stance. Reach the arms out nice and wide. Draw the shoulders wide and the tips of the shoulder blades down to the hips. Bring the right hand to the right thigh, stretch up and over with the left arm. Hold for a cycle of breath. Come back up through center. Bring the left arm down, the right arm to reach up and over. Bringing some length to the waistband. Coming back through center. Hands will come to the thighs or the low back. Gently press your pelvis forward, lift the heart up. And forward fold. You'll take the right hand anywhere on the right leg and begin to hug your chest towards the right leg. Comfort in the breath. Extend through the exhales, allow the inhales to happen naturally. Then release, walk the hands over to the opposite side. Grab anywhere along the left leg. Extend out through the exhales, allow the inhales to happen naturally. Release, walk the fingers forward so they're right underneath the shoulders. Point the toes out and sit the hips nice and low. Weight sways from side to side, getting into those hip creases and waking up through the inner groin, as well as finding a deep flexion through the joints of the lower body. The elbows are going to come to the knees. Maybe the arms span out nice and wide, or the hands can rest at heart center. Take a full cycle of breath in and out. You'll bring your fingertips to ground, lift the hips up, point the toes forward, reverse swan dive all the way back up to a wide star. Point the right toes out, triangle pose. Hinge yourself laterally. Stabilize through the legs. Watch the tendency to lock out through your knees. And come back to the comfort of the breath, extending out through the exhale and allowing the inhale to occur naturally. So the breath has a natural expanding element to it. Come up through star, point the left toes forward, triangle pose. And when we expand into our sensations and into our body, we're creating space. And in that space, we can find some comfort and release, so we're not so bound and tight. Come out, star pose. You'll step the back leg forward, come to the front edge of the mat. Rise up through mountain pose. Cactus the elbows, lift the heart, back bend. Bring the right leg up, single leg Tadasana. Step the right foot nice and wide into your star. Take the right hand to the left thigh, adding a twist as you reach the left arm up and out. The tips of the hips are going to lift up as the tailbone lengthens down. And just to feel into those slings across the front and the back of the body. The energetic pull from heel to shoulder. From head to feet. Coming back up through centers, switching it out, left hand to right thigh, right arm reaches up and over. For me, it feels good to lean that weight forward of the lower body and the weight of the trunk back. Counterbalancing. Coming back up through center. Reach the arms out, wide-legged forward fold. Halfway lift, forward fold. Bring the left hand to ground, the right hand will come to the right ankle, gaze underneath the left shoulder, and invite an inverted rotation to the spine. Comfort in the breath as you revolve out any kinks. Unwind, bring the right hand to ground, left hand to left ankle, gaze underneath the armpit, and we're winding up so we can practice winding down. Release the hands, halfway lift, reach the arms out, reverse swan dive all the way back up to a wide stance star. Toe heel your feet out a little wider, point the right toes out, warrior two. Warrior two, reverse namaste. You can bring the palms to touch and the elbows out nice and wide. If this isn't serving your body, you're going to take your hands to your elbows. Now broaden the chest as you widen out through the lungs. Continue to breathe, extending out through the exhales and deepening through the inhales. Warrior two. Rise up through your wide star. Warrior two, left toes point forward, right inner thigh hugs in. Take the hands, cross at the opposite elbows, or bring the palms to touch for a reverse namaste. This is quite a shoulder opener. The arm bones are rolling forward, but you're working to bring the shoulders wide as you bring heat and stability through the lower body. Release the hands, warrior two. Rise up through your wide star. Step the back leg up. Come to stand at the top of your mat. Inhale. Mountain pose. Exhale, back bend. Rise up through mountain. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Toes point out. Heels connect. Lower hips to the heels. Walk the hands forward and reach the hips back. Now the second time here, is there any relief in the low back? Any more space with the breath? Walk the hands back. You'll slowly lower your hips down onto the mat. Bring the balls of the feet to touch for Supta Baddha Kanasana. Find a nice lifted spine. Fold yourself forward. I like to take my elbows to my shins to find a gentle pressing down of the knees. Deliberate, intentional breaths to bring comfort, to bring awareness into the body. Come on out. Draw the knees in and slowly lower yourself down onto your back. Figure four, the right ankle will cross on top of the left leg. Nothing will change through the legs. You're going to come to shift onto your left hip, grounding down through the right foot. This is a nice stretch through the right outer thigh and outer hip, as well as a gentle rotation through the low back. Practicing getting comfortable in our skin, not stressing or straining ourselves, but enjoying the process of creating space, creating comfort. You'll take the left hand, grab a hold of the outer edge of the right foot if it's available. Otherwise, you can take a hold of anywhere along that right leg, just elongating that right leg, extending the right arm out and gazing over the right shoulder. Bending through the right leg, bringing the legs back up to neutral for figure 4. Left ankle's going to cross on top. Nothing changes in the lower body. You'll shift the weight over onto the right hip as you lower the left foot down to the earth. Again, that hand's always there to give a little encouragement as you lengthen the sit bone away from the nose. Find comfort in the breath. The right hand will come anywhere along the left leg as you begin to straighten out through the left leg. Send the left arm long, gentle gaze. Extend through the exhale. Inhale happens naturally. Not to be harsh, but be inviting and open to create space to find comfort. Bringing the left leg in, coming back to neutral. Walking the heels up a little closer for bridge pose. The arms will rest, they'll begin by resting down by your side. Lift the hips up, come into your bridge pose, and then interlace the hands, walk the elbows towards one another. Lengthen the inner thighs towards the big toe mounds, ground down through the inner heels and the big toe. And then spread that distribution of weight to the outer edges of the feet. Few cycles of breath. Pressing the feet into the earth, releasing the hands, slowly lowering the spine down. And you'll bring your hands underneath your hips for fish pose. Extend the legs out in front of you. You're going to press the elbows into the mat as you bring the crown of the head back behind you. The heart is lifted, the throat is open. The front of the neck is getting stretched. Bring chin in, slowly lower your head. Be easeful as you work through the cervical spine. Take the hands out from underneath you. Draw the knees nice and wide for happy baby's pose. Rocking from side to side. Drawing the knees together. Some forward and back rocking side to side. Getting your position of your pelvis so you find some relief through the low back and front side of the body. Making your way into a Shavasana pose, this pose of rest. And here is where we observe. Noticing the effects and the echo of our practice. Reflecting in our effort. And observing if we've found any more comfort inwardly or externally. Begin to extend out through the exhale. Allow the inhale to happen naturally. With softened gaze or eyes closed, you'll make your way up into your seat. Once you've made your way to your seat, roll the shoulders down away from the ears. Ground down through the touch points with the surface beneath you. Just observe how you feel. Is there any more comfort that's been brought about by your movement and your breath? Thank you so much for joining me in this practice. I look forward to seeing you again in the next. With light, love, gratitude, and grace, namaste.